Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be showing you an alternative way to power the accessories on your model railroad layout. So you might be asking yourself, why would I need an alternative way to power the accessories on my model railroad layout? Well, there's a couple of reasons. So when we've done wiring videos in the past, we always get questions afterwards about what if my power supply doesn't have an accessory output? So here on this power supply here, this is our USA Trains kind of generic power supply. We have two power outputs here. So these red ones go to the track power, and these black ones here go to the accessories. Now, some power supplies don't have the accessory side and only the track power. And in those cases, somebody's going to have to find an alternative way to power up those accessories. Now, Bachmann also, with most of their train sets, they have these type of power supplies here, very basic power supplies, not incredibly creative to look at, but they do the job, and they actually do the job pretty well. But what you're gonna notice up here is these guillotine type of connections here. And this is where you would put the accessory wires on these Bachmann controllers. And then here's just another example right here, same type of setup. The wires go right through those little holes right there. But Bachmann also has a track power controller that doesn't have a way to attach accessories. And so if you have one of the sets that have that type of a power supply, well then you're gonna need an alternative way to power your accessories as well. Another reason that you might need an alternative power supply is that you've already overwhelmed the accessory output on your power supply as it is. So here we've just got a bundle of wires here where our wires are coming out of the power, and then you can see here we've got these kind of wire nuts with a bunch of wires coming off, and these wires here aren't really going anywhere, but you can get the idea where we have a bunch of accessories kind of tied in to the single power supply. And so while that's, wire nuts are a perfectly good way of making connections like that, you may have a lot of accessories on that power supply here, the accessory power supply side here. And again, you may be looking to relieve that situation by finding an alternative power supply. So those are a couple of reasons why you might need an alternative power supply for your accessories. So what is an alternative power supply for your accessories on your model train layout? Well, the solution is a lot more basic than you might think. And as a matter of fact, you might have a bunch of them lying around your house right now. And it is just the old reliable AC adapter. Now this is an adapter that we bought off of Amazon. It is a Sansun 12 volt 5 amp power supply. And yeah, it's just something that you might actually see on an old laptop or an old portable DVD player, no different than that. But voltages do vary on these AC power supplies. So, well, we have some lying around our house too. We bought this off of Amazon mostly because it was in the voltage we were looking for. Again, this is 12 volt. And a lot of our lights that we hook up to our model railroad are 12 volt lights. And it has a good amperage, 5 amps, which seems powerful enough here. Okay, so now because this is a regular old AC adapter, it has these barrel connectors on the end. Hopefully the camera will focus in on that. If not, we have an image to show you of that'll be clearer. But these little barrel connectors here are pretty standard with these AC adapters. So the question is, how do I hook that up to my accessories? Well, one of the other reasons that we bought this particular AC adapter from Amazon is that it came with this little connector right here. I'm just going to put that there and zoom in. I don't know if it'll actually focus if I'm just kind of holding it in front of the camera. But yeah, so here on this end, you'll see there's a female barrel connector that will fit right onto the end of this barrel connector here. Now these connectors come in various sizes, and if you've ever seen one of those generic kind of all-purpose AC adapters, you'll see they come with a lot of those fittings. Well, this one here is 5.5 millimeter by 2.1 millimeter. And what that means is that the outside diameter of that silver kind of barrel there is 5.5 millimeters. And then the inside diameter is 2.1 millimeters. And then on this connector here, this connector has the corresponding size to fit that. So it'll basically just fit right on. Now, why is that important? That's important because on this end, we have, and again, I hope the camera focuses, but if it doesn't, I'll have a picture up so that you can kind of see how that works. But anyway, you're gonna see here on the very end of that, and I'm gonna bend it so that the camera doesn't try to focus on my hand. On the end of that, you'll see that there are spots for wires right here. So that's where your accessory wires will go, or will come into the power supply, and then those are fastened down with these screws right here on the back end. Okay, so let's set up a demonstration and show you how it works. Okay, so we have everything we need here. We have our power strip here. We have our AC adapter. When we're making our connections, we'll just leave this unplugged. So what we're gonna do here is take off this connector. And what we have here is for our little benchtop demonstration here, is a string of 3 lights. And I just use these as kind of a representation of some accessories. So these lights could be, you know, building lights, they could be a string of street lights, billboards, or whatever the case may be. So what we're gonna do here is on these screws here, hopefully my hand isn't in the way and we have good focus, but basically just kind of loosen those screws. And then you'll see the little, if I can get close there, the little places where the screws go in. There is a positive and negative indicator there on the black housing here. But we'll go in here, we'll put the red to the positive and just push that in. I have a lot of wire exposed here just because I do a lot of things like this. These are with my demonstration setup here. But yeah, wire will just slide in, and then you can just clamp it down by clamping down the screw. Give a little tug, looks pretty good. Put in our black wire. Let me just give that a twist. This is stranded wire, but a nice way to prevent having to do that is to tin that up with a soldering iron. And then they will make a nice kind of solid wire that you can just push right in. But anyway, black wire in, same thing, clamp it down with the screws, and there you go. Then we'll plug this connector into our AC adapter, so you can kind of see how that looks there. Hopefully nothing will come undone. Let's pull our lights into view here. All right, now we'll plug our AC adapter in, and then we'll turn on our power strip. And you can see our lights lit up quite nicely there. Let me just move the cable out of here so you can kind of see the entire connection. And keep our wires separated there so that they don't short out on us. But yeah, so here's our AC adapter, the barrel connector here. We have the adapter. Make sure that's plugged together, and then our wires are just simply plugged into the wire connectors there right inside the adapter, and you've got power. So that is a very basic demonstration of how an AC power adapter can power your accessories, 12-volt lights, whatever the case may be. Now, the big question here is, what happens if I have more than one set of accessories? I only have one set of wire terminals here to plug into. And I don't want to be in a situation where we're bundling up a bunch of wires and then connecting them with wire nuts. I want something a little bit neater than that. So as far as just showing you an alternative power supply of an AC adapter, we're done. And I think you can probably run with this much information. But what I'm going to do here is kind of in the next segment, just show you how you can hook up multiple accessories neatly to a single power supply. So yeah, I hope you hang around for that, and let's get started. Okay, so if we're gonna neaten up our wiring on our accessories here, so we're not bundling up wires with wire nuts and things like that, I'm gonna have to introduce you to the concept of terminal blocks. So this is a terminal block right here. It's got a little plastic cover on it that'll just take off. And basically what it is a little plastic kind of base here. And what it has is a bunch of screw terminals and basically metal electrical connectors here. So as we go kind of down the terminal block, you'll see that there's a screw on each side. And basically this is connected across this way. And so that just kind of continues down. I think we have 12 terminals that we can use here. But they're not connected vertically. These are all separate connections. So if I attach the wire here and attach the wire here, that would be a continuous connection. And you can see the little metal bar underneath the plastic kind of spine here that holds down the bar. A solid connection right across there. But what we want to do is we want to be able to hook up wires to any one of these terminals here to kind of add power for our accessories. So what we need to do is we need to add what's called a jumper so that we're connecting all of these together vertically here. And so these terminal blocks come with these jumpers. They come in black and they come in red. And so basically what you do is loosen up these screws, and you can see I've already loosened these up. And you'll see that there's a couple of plates here that separate. So you can see there's like a plate there and a plate there. And so there's a little opening there. And basically what you do is you just take that jumper and you place it into, sometimes they can be finicky. We got lucky there. So the jumper goes on like so and basically connects all of these terminals together. And then basically once you have that there, just clamp them all down. Just like that. Okay, so what I've done kind of off camera is I've created 2 terminal blocks with the jumper. And again, we've got 12 stations here. And what I'm going to do is take our adapter with the wire connectors there. And what I'm going to do is attach one wire. These are short wires now. So again, this is a benchtop, demonstration. So on your layout, the lengths of your layout will kind of determine the lengths of the wire you need. But we're using short wires here so that we're not going to get too cluttered on our layout. So what I'm going to do here is just one wire here, and then let's get that clamped down. And another wire on this side. And again, clamp that down. And then now what we want to do is put one wire on each terminal block. And we're going to put them on the side that doesn't have the jumper. So I'm just going to loosen up a screw here. The right size screwdriver is always very important. And then you can see here as I unscrew it that those 2 plates kind of open up. I hope you can see that. So one wire on one side. Now normally I would use fork connectors here rather than just straight wire, just for neatness or just for ease of attaching the wires here. But I'm just using straight wire. Now, if you don't have fork connectors or kind of a way to use them, like crimp them on wires and so forth, and you're just using straight wire like this, totally fine. It will connect and it will work. But yeah. So again, just for kind of demonstration purposes here, we're just going to do this quick and dirty, as it were. Okay. So here we go. We got a couple of wires running to our terminal blocks. I'm trying to get everything in the frame here so that you can see it all. So you can kind of see what's going on here. I apologize for the white wire on the white background here, but you can see the white wire running to one side, and then you can see the red wire running to the other side. So with this setup here, now we can attach as many accessories as we want to and keep them nice and neat on screw terminals rather than having them bunched, kind of wired all together with wire nuts. And what really makes this useful is that as your layout evolves, you add accessories or take accessories away, it's much easier to connect them and disconnect them to these screw terminals versus, undoing a bundle of wires. So it does have some benefits here. All right, so now we're going to bring in our demo set of accessories here, or accessory lights. Again, could be buildings, could be street lights, whatever. And what we're going to do is take either one of these wires here, and we are just going to attach them to either side of the terminal block. So I kind of have it set up here so that all the red is on the red side. Sometimes it doesn't matter what side, you don't have to worry about positive or negative or whatever. But in this case we do, because these lights actually have, I think they have resistors in them or diodes or something, and I think it does matter. So you can see that red is done. Now do the black side or the white side. We're using black and white wire on this side. Screw that down. Get our lights in the, sure our lights are in the frame here, and we'll go ahead and turn on our power strip. And there's our lights. So we have our first set of accessories on here, on our terminal blocks. So now we want to add another accessory. Say we have some Bachmann switches that we want to also add to our accessory power supply. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to shut off my power, and I'm just going to prep a set of terminal screws here by just unscrewing them here and loosening them up a bit. And we'll bring over our turnout. Now again, this is just a benchtop example here, so this is pretty tight in here because I'm just trying to get it all in the frame, but hopefully you kind of get what's happening here. So these have nice fork connectors on the end here, the power switch, the power cable for the turnouts. But again, we're just going to take the next open slot here, the one I just loosened up. And again, one side goes on this terminal block, and this side will go on this terminal block. See how nice those fork connectors just slide right in, easy to clamp down. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit wiry here. We got a lot of wires going on, but again, you can see, hopefully, that these wires here are still going to our lights, and then these wires here are going to our turnout. We'll go ahead and turn on our power strip there. And again, our lights are on because those are wired in, and then our turnout is on this switch right here. We did a video on wiring up Bachmann turnouts or switches, whichever terminology you use, and you can actually daisy chain switches together, and you can power as many as you want to. But you can see the 12-volt power supply is having no trouble with this whatsoever. But anyway, so now we have two accessories here tied up to our terminal blocks. And like I said, if I ever got to the point where I wanted to remove these lights or remove these switches, it's just a matter of unhooking them from the terminal blocks. Super easy. But now we have buildings to hook up. So we have a third set of accessories that we're going to add to the mix here. Okay, so I've got another set of lights here, and again, these are just lights that I threw together super quick. Again, just for demonstration purposes for things like this. And what I'm going to do here is just loosen up a third terminal. Let's shut our power off there. And these have 4 connectors too, which are nice. So one here. Oh, I said I was kind of going black to black just to keep it neat, didn't I? Or red to... So just for neatness, let's just do that. And I know these wires are starting to get a little overwhelming here, but On a layout, all of those wires would be under the table, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. All right, so now we get our third set here. I think I loosened that already. There we go. Okay. So now I'm just going to take my lights here. We're just kind of mocking up building lights or building accessories here. So we'll pop this over here. Sorry if my shoulder's in the way there. And we'll just pop those just underneath there. We're going to turn on our power strip there. And then you can see here, we have our lights down here running. I think you can see the lights under there are on. There you go right here. These are just some 3D buildings that we printed a while back that we don't really use on the layout. We printed them and then did some painting on them, but we didn't really use them on the layout. But they're here for these little demonstration purposes here. But yeah, and then here we can go ahead and use our turnout. So yeah, so now we have 3 sets of accessories hooked up. And let me get that wire off of there. And we have plenty more slots. I think we have 8 more slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could do many, many more sets of accessories right off of this AC adapter power supply. Okay, there's one more configuration I want to show you with the terminal blocks. And that is, what happens if I don't want to use 2 terminal blocks, or this is way too many terminals that I'll never use 11 connections to accessories and so forth, and I want to save some space. Well, what I can do is I can actually configure these to use 1 terminal block. So what I've done here is, this is actually a different size terminal block, but what you'll notice here is that rather than have 1 jumper all the way down the length like this one here, I actually cut jumpers so that they fit, one fits over half of the terminal block and the other one fits over the other half. So this is a 10 station or terminal block. And so I've got 5 connected on this side, 5 connected on this side. And because remember when we said that these aren't connected this way, this space right here, these aren't connected across, so they won't create any kind of a short or anything like that. These are now 2 independent power blocks, if you will. So now what I can do is I can attach wires to either side of that and use 1 terminal block. And we'll just push those off to the side here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 of the wires on this side. Again, we'll just go kind of red to red here. And on the other side, we'll go white to white. Actually, what I normally do is I put these on the ends, but I think what I'll do is, I'm working with short wires here. So I think what I'll do is put it on the first here. So we'll clamp that down. Clamp that down. And you can see here, just so you can get a good view and you're certain about how these are hooked up, is that you see the red wire is connected to this block here that's all joined by the red jumper, and the white wire is on the black side. And again, this is the dividing point right here, because these don't touch each other, 2 separate blocks. Now I'm not going to go through attaching the accessories one at a time. I'm just going to go ahead and offline just attach our accessories here and then come back and show you how that looks. The principle is still the same as the 2 terminal blocks. We're just using 1 terminal block. Okay, so we got all our wires hooked up here for all our accessories, and just to kind of review real quick, so you've got your power supply coming out of our new AC adapter. So 1 wire is the power in. The other wire is the power in here. You can see the white just kind of trace it all around here. And then basically all the accessories, 1 wire goes on the black, 1 wire goes on the red. So we have 3 wires on each side to hook up those the two wires that come out of each accessory. And now we're gonna go ahead and throw on our power strip, and we should see everything light up. So yeah, so we have our accessory number 1 here is our orange lights. Accessory number 2 is our switch. Again, see if I can get that to switch there. Works fine. And then accessory number 3 is our house lights, and everything looks great. So, and then 1 terminal block. All right, so there you have it. A very cost-effective way to add an alternative power supply for your accessories on your model railroad layout. AC adapter, again, this one here is 12 volts and 5 amps. They do have variable voltage ones that you can actually set the voltage. Here's a screenshot from Amazon here, and you can see the dial, and I think it goes anywhere from like 3 amps to 3 volts to 24 volts. So that works out. That should work out pretty good too. If you're just not sure what voltage you want, or you don't want to commit to a certain voltage, that might be an alternative for you as well. But it is helpful to make sure that you get an AC adapter that has this connector to it, and that just makes it easier to connect the wires. I just left the wires in there just so that you kind of, as a last visual here, you can see where the wires will come out to meet your accessories. And then you throw some terminal blocks on it to neaten things up, and these are pretty cost effective too. I think I got a set of 5 of these with all the jumpers and everything for like $12. So that was pretty good, and that really, like I said, that neatens things up quite a bit. And hopefully you could see past the jumble of wires here to keep everything kind of in the frame. But it's pretty straightforward, really. So anyway, I think that is the video for today, and I hope that you found the information useful, and we'll see you in the next one.